right, with Joe Biden expected to announce his candidacy tomorrow, the Wall Street Journal reporting the former vice president will rely heavily on big donors to get his campaign up and running. Let's bring in our panel. Michael Meehan is president and CEO of Squared Communications, and Colin Reed manages public affairs. All right, okay, Michael, fair or not, expectations for Biden are really high. So do you think that they can meet those expectations, or can they reframe them in some way if the launch isn't all that the media might think it should be?
Yeah, I think Joe Biden has made a connection with voters in the Democratic primary. This would be his third time running in the 8 years of serving as vice president. But he has the ability in the small caucus states of Iowa and New Hampshire, where you go into people's living rooms in the very beginning, to tell a story about his life and his faith and his vision for what government should be. And any one of his opponents would be wrong to think that he's not prepared to go into those small parts of those small states early on and show the kind of strength he has. He also has the advantage of name ID. And a third in the Democratic primary with 21 candidates on the way to 30 is a huge advantage for him. 18
to 19 candidates now, Colin. Everybody's sort of been waiting for Biden to do this. How long before they start attacking him?
Well, I think the gloves will come off right away if they're smart. Maybe they'll do it in an understated way. But really, the whole question about whether or not he's going to raise money gets to the bigger question, is whether or not a politician who got elected before Watergate can compete in a Democratic primary of 2019. And whether or not he can raise small donors, we'll have an idea, because if he goes the way his other competitors have gone and released his small dollar donors after the first 24 hours, I don't think he'll put up 18 million.
So we actually have some numbers here on full day one fundraising. Like O'Rourke, remember, he blew the doors off at 6.1 million, and then you go to Sanders at 5.9, and then the others. What do you think about this on the fundraising thing? Is that the real measurement we should be looking at, or should we look at the polls, which consistently have Biden at the top, despite all the attacks and the waiting?
Yeah, I think money's important if you don't have a kind of name ID that Joe Biden has, and so it is a good measure for some of these candidates, the senators or the congressmen who haven't run on a national ticket before. But I think so the money is a credible threshold, but I don't think it's dispositive, because what happens in a presidential is that people get their information about these candidates from shows like yours and across the board, and it's not like a state senate race or a governor's race where people don't have any name ID and you have to be able to pay these ads to get your name out there. I think when you're running for president, everyone's going to know who the Democratic nominee is once the process is over.
Colin, I'm going to show you this poll. It's a Monmouth poll asking Democrats. Doesn't matter who is nominated. These are asking Democrats. Does it matter if it's a person of color or a woman? Like, they're just basically, the huge majority saying it doesn't matter. I think what they would say matters is, how can we win against President Trump in 2020? And is Biden it?
Well, but the other thing that doesn't ask is, do we want to go forward or backward?
Right.
We very rarely go backward as a country. And although Democrats may like the Obama-Biden years, they're from yesterday. And I think Joe Biden's fundamental problem is he doesn't really have a forward-looking message other than being the governing partner of Barack Obama.
Hey, not to ask you, Mike, to spill anything, but is there some tension between Obama and Biden people? You're kind of picking it up a little bit here and there, that maybe the Obama people think he's not up to it, that he won't be able to run as good a campaign as Barack Obama did?
Well, you know, Barack Obama ran a once-in-a-generation campaign, right, with an aspiration of hope, first African-American to be nominated and then win the presidency, not once but twice. So there's a little bit of that. But it's also, you know, it's a young person's game to be on these campaigns. And so there's a little bit of, if Joe Biden's president of the United States, I'm sure many of those people who work for Barack Obama's administration would be happy to come back and work for Joe Biden's administration.
Does Bernie go after Biden right away?
I don't think he goes after him right away, because he's the front runner, and in politics you always punch up, not down.
All right. Punching up, not down. It's good. Sports analogy, I think.
You know
okay,
it.
Good to have it. All right. Thank you so much. Michael Meehan and Colin Reed, we appreciate you being here. Fox News